Do you want to know who leads the playoffs in points per game? It's Nikola Jokic. Not Giannis, not Embiid, not any of these guys that have supposedly been way better than Jokic in these playoffs. It is Jokic who is leading the NBA in scoring during the postseason. Oh, and he's doing it on 56% shooting whilst facing arguably the best team in the playoffs and the best defender in the playoffs, with Aaron Gordon as his second option. Yes, if you're wondering, I am fed up of the talk surrounding Nikola Jokic and his fraudulent back-to-back MVPs. Because if there's anything that these 4 games should have taught us so far, it's that Jokic performed a miracle to get this Nuggets team to nearly 50 wins, and in the playoffs against an elite team, those miracles are a lot harder to come by, particularly when guys like Will Barton are doing things like this.
Shot clock at 10, here's a 3 for the tie.
But before we talk about Jokic's supporting cast or anything else, those advanced stats must be correct about Jokic being the greatest player ever, because there aren't any other players I can think of who could put up 31 points a game on good efficiency with his supporting cast being, well, yeah, and still receive slander for not doing enough. And a prime example of that slander was, instead of focusing on the go-ahead bucket and game-winning assist Jokic made down the stretch, I saw a lot of people trying to focus on one of the last plays of the game that he sat out. Of course, ignoring the fact that no Warriors player in that game was over 6'7" at the time, and even from the bench, Jokic was still able to make an impact on the game. But there's a whole lot more when it comes to defense that I want to talk about with Jokic, because I think the perception has gotten out of hand. But before we do that, let's talk about the offense, because a big key to him figuring out things has been the 3-ball. I said this before the series, but when Jokic is making his threes, that changes everything, because not only do you add those extra 6 to 9 points a game without having to bang down low against Draymond Green, but all of a sudden, Draymond Green is coming out further, you can pump fake him, you can take him off the dribble, like he did towards the end of Game 3, where he faked out Draymond Green and then glided to the rim with a reverse layup. Now, to combat this, the Warriors have tried everything against Jokic defensively. Once they figured out Draymond Green might struggle to guard him in single coverage going forward, because yes, he has struggled the last couple of games, they tried a zone, and this play is just hilariously good from Jokic. Monte has the ball at the 3-point line. The Dubs are loaded up on Jokic's side of the floor. Jokic first directs Will Barton to go to the corner. He very sneakily then slides Steph out to the 3-point line before then pushing off Steph and cutting directly to the open space before a couple of steps and a floater over the 7-foot wingspan of Draymond Green. That is a simple play, but for him to discard of 3 defenders in 3 seconds and finish like that, it just makes me laugh. And this play speaks to what Jokic has done well these last 2 games. I think the first couple of games, he was so focused on trying to dominate Draymond inside that he lost track of what he does exceptionally well, and that is move off the ball, find pockets of space, pick and roll, floaters, hook shots, all of these beautiful moves that he has in his arsenal that he is now using more consistently the last couple of games, in addition to the 3-point shot as well. And all of a sudden, he's shooting over the top of Draymond Green instead of trying to go straight through it. Now, at the same time, don't get it wrong, he still has a few moves that he can show against Draymond Green.
Joker on the block against Green. Great pivot move.
But before I spend any more time talking about his offensive brilliance, let's talk about the defense. Because I think we have to realize at this point, if people are going to criticize Jokic, which they're going to do for whatever he does until he wins a championship and a finals MVP, and I think he'll still be criticized after that point. But if people are going to criticize him for everything, defense is always going to be the thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say he has been fantastic defensively, but there's also a few things that people are completely overlooking. For starters, the first 2 games, there was absolutely no defense being played by any Nuggets perimeter defender. The last 2 games, Austin Rivers and Aaron Gordon in particular have stepped up on that end of the floor, and it's helped Jokic, because like every big man in the league, he relies on the help of his guards and wings. And game 3 in particular, I think Jokic was genuinely great defensively. He had 3 steals, including a few big ones in transition, and 1 coming off a Draymond Green and Steph Curry pick and roll. But even better, he was moving his feet well, like on this play where he steps up on Steph to prevent the 3, before then moving his feet well and using his body to keep Steph in front of him while still keeping the distance close, before eventually forcing a missed shot. And there were a few more examples where he really stepped up onto Steph Curry in that game and did a fantastic job. But just to give an indicator of the kind of defense he's been working with on a team level, I just want everyone to focus on Will Barton on this play, and just watch how many times he gets beaten off the dribble in the space of 10 seconds and looks completely lost, which forces Jokic to help over on multiple occasions before then having to contest a wide open Wiggins corner 3. Or in this example, where Monte is beaten off the dribble within a second before Will Barton helps off Klay Thompson for an open 3. That's the level of defense he is working with for a lot of these games. And it's no coincidence the games 3 and 4 where Aaron Gordon and Austin Rivers actually played some good defense, and all of a sudden the Nuggets were within 5 points, Jokic didn't look bad defensively, and the Nuggets nearly came away with 2 out of the 2 wins. And you've also got to remember, this is someone who is 7 foot, running the entire offense and having to step up on damn near every play against this Warriors team, which people seem to think is exclusive to Jokic. There's this idea that Jokic is being targeted because he's Jokic. If you've watched the Golden State Warriors, they target bigs with high pick and rolls. Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton. It has happened to every big. Joel Embiid got 50 points dropped on his head last season. That's all I'm saying. But enough about the defense, and actually, we're going to continue to talk about Joel Embiid, just because Philadelphia fans have been everywhere talking about how Jokic is such a fraudulent MVP and Joel Embiid was the more deserving winner. And I'm going to be a little bit petty, disclaimer alert, just a little bit petty. Joel Embiid is playing with Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, James Harden, and some good players to say the least, against a Raptors team that is solid. Jokic is playing with Aaron Gordon and Monte Morris against a Golden State Warriors team that looks incredible, to be honest, And here are the numbers. Now, Philadelphia fans want to continue to say the gap between Nikola Jokic's defense and Joel Embiid's defense is bigger than the gap between Charles Barkley's eyebrows and the top of his head. Well, then that's fine, but offensively, do not mention them in the same sentence, because if this is considered a bad playoff run for Jokic and he's still lapping Embiid on that end of the floor, just don't mention them in the same sentence, and we'll just have to agree that one is significantly better on defense and one is significantly better on offense that would only be better if he had some guys that could knock down shots and run a more consistent pick and roll. But while we are talking about his playmaking, one part of Game 3 that I don't think enough people are talking about is the game-winning assist. Here's Jokic with the high pick and roll. He gets the ball on the move with literally every Warriors defender's eyes on him, and he recognizes Poole has crept in, so he then very deliberately stares off Austin Rivers, which takes Stephen Curry out of the game before then throwing the no-look dime to Will Barton in the corner. We've got so used to it to the point where we're normalizing a 7-footer doing this at the end of a game, and no one's even talking about it. Anyways, Nikola Jokic is owed an apology, and another MVP as well. Have a good day. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks, bye.